What's up, everybody? Back with another show. It's November 29th. I'm Evan Anderson,
I'm Jonathan Marcel.
and this is the Gradual Grind. We out here talking about daily issues that we're going through on our path to greatness. And we're just we're trying to today. I think we're just gonna try and like share some value of the things that we've learned along the way. Just that like common knowledge. I feel like everybody should know. Being successful, just because you where I came from, I didn't really know this until like it became relevant. So uh chance to get it in some people's ears, and I hope y'all pick it up well. Yeah, I already knew what you was gonna say. Yep. How was your week, Marcel? What you do,
Nah,
man?
nah. I was gonna say something different this time.
What were you
I
gonna
was gonna
say?
say you guys have to realize the
Yeah,
effort we're putting into this shit. Look at
yeah.
my boy's face.
Hey, you see me
Doesn't look
crystal
like a
clear? Hey,
ghost.
you can tell I ain't shaved or nothing. This is a little bit too close.
Got that 1080p camera now.
Yes, sir.
We investing in this, or
Yeah.
we true to
Anyways,
this, not new to this.
what's up, man? How was your week?
Man, it was
Spent it
good.
with the fam.
Yeah. So now that I work remotely
Hmm.
and now that I have a little bit of extra cash coming in, I finally stopped making that excuse that I was too busy making money to go home for the holiday.
Yeah,
So I ended up taking a week and a half from Houston, went to El Paso, visit the fam, spent a lot of time with them just hanging out since it's lockdown over there since COVID.
hmm,
COVID, there's a huge COVID spike.
yeah,
But it was just nice to get to talk to them. Had some really good conversations with them about what I'm doing, what they're doing, and setting future goals to what we're trying to get to. Things that we have never talked about before,
hmm,
right? But now it seems because maybe something about the way I'm presenting it has changed, or maybe their mindset has changed.
right.
But they're putting money into their house, trying to renovate it, trying to make it look a
Your
little bit
parents?
nicer. Yeah,
Okay.
right. After years, and probably because they have some more income to play with,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Since I'm out and about,
Yeah.
but they're trying to add value to their house. My dad's thinking about expanding his business for the first time in like a decade,
Yeah.
which is huge.
That's
My
dope.
mom, we're trying to convince her to do different things, and I already told you what my goal is for Christmas on that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was nice, man. It was refreshing, and it gave me a fresh set of eyes on how I look at life and what I want to do.
Hmm.
But I'll get into a little bit more of that later. How about you? How was your week? How was your first Thanksgiving with your daughter?
It's good, man. We chilled. We kicked it. We're living out of a hotel, so it's a little bit different. But I mean, it was decent. Just kind of been sticking to it, sticking to the grind. Hey, remember how I don't know if I mentioned on the podcast, but I definitely told you that like I was getting back to reaching out to people. And
Mm-hmm.
man, your boy is resourceful. I be getting out there. I got in like a couple of different Facebook groups. I joined a Bigger Pockets like join
Hey,
their website or whatever.
they have some value,
But
bro. I'm not
yeah,
even.
no, they definitely do. I guess they grow like 1,000 people a day join their website. So it's like definitely a growing resource for real estate. But yeah, based off that, like I didn't just join, like I was actually being active and posting and connecting with people. So I've been doing that. Reconnected with some people I ain't talked to in a minute. Just talked about what they got going on. Um, and yeah, it's been good. I really like when I start reaching out to people. It makes me feel like motivated. Like I'm building something slowly but surely. So
Really, it's not about net worth. It's about network.
yeah,
Really, really, it's about.
yeah. So anyways, let's get straight to it. Straight to it. So today we're talking about credit. And the reason, I brought this up because I just feel like I feel like people should know about it sooner than later. And it wouldn't make no sense for us not to do um, you know, a subject matter of credit. So I feel like I'm just going to be speaking of on things that we know. We're not experts.
At
Don't
all.
we're not out here giving advice, right? So take what we say with a grain of salt. Do your own research, but we just kind of want to put out there that common knowledge. And so first, I just want to talk about the breakdown of like credit, a credit score, what it's used for. because I didn't understand this going for a long time. Like everybody knows like you want to have a high credit score, but you don't really know.
How to get there,
Yeah,
right? Like we all want the black card, but we don't know what it
yeah,
really takes to get a black
and you
card.
don't even know like honestly for like till a couple months ago, I didn't even know like what was the point of having like what's the difference of having it, you know? And so because like to be honest, in Jay-Z's last album 444, um, he said something about like, it's uh better than throwing money in the club credit. And that's the only thing I knew about credit. Like, oh, it must be important. Jay-Z said something about it. And so, anyways, straight to it. So, credit, what's it used for? Um, your credit score is something that is considered anytime you are making a large purchase where you will be financing a deal. Um, it is important because it will change the rates that you get, and also the consideration that the bank gives you for what money you can get. And also it goes into factor to a lot of things, but for the most part, like when you like we're talking about from a 23-year-old perspective, when you're making like common purchases, like okay, maybe you want to get a house or even an apartment, they check your credit score for your apartment. Like you have to have a decent somebody has to have a decent credit score to get it. um like so car, house, apartment, any of those things, like they're gonna check your credit score.
Even a job sometimes.
Damn, really? I
Yeah,
didn't know
sometimes
that.
depending on certain types of careers,
Yeah.
they will check your credit score to see how well. This is the way, you know, growing up, credit was like a mystery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we just knew, like you said, you just knew you had to have a good credit score.
Mm-hmm.
But really, to demystify it, what credit is like a trustworthy rating.
Yeah.
Right? Like how trustworthy are you for me to lend you my money,
Yeah.
or to let you have whatever you're asking for?
Right.
So for like an employer, if you're dealing with a lot of money or dealing with some type of power,
Yeah.
they'll check your credit score to make sure you're not in bad standing with anybody,
Yeah.
to avoid you doing any shady work to try to,
That makes sense.
finance your life.
Right. That definitely makes sense. But anyway, so like the difference in your credit score, there's like good, fair, and excellent credit score. But there's also poor, so try to stay away from poor. But
Try to stay away from
try to stay away from that. But yeah, no. So like the difference in these is like it can end up costing you thousands and thousands of dollars on the back end. Like even on the down payment, to be honest, like I know I've been researching like buying semi trucks and stuff like that. Like depending on your credit score and your relationship with that bank, like that can be the difference between you not having to put anything down and you having to put $15,000 down. You know what I'm saying? Like that is the difference. And so today we're just going to break down what that score is and what kind of realizations we've had around it. So first, like just the breakdown of the score. If you want to, I don't know. So if you don't have like credit, I encourage you to get started as soon as possible. But there's so many sites where you can look at your credit score. Credit Karma, Experian. I use Experian. I think it's.
But it's important to recognize your credit score that's on Credit Karma and your actual FICO score are two different things. So I know like Chase, if you have Chase, they have this thing called Credit Journey. Use that; it gives you your actual credit score. Like when you go to a bank or you go to a financing office, what they're gonna look at and what they're gonna see.
Well, doesn't it also? So this is going to be like conversation because, like I said, we're not experts. We're kind of talking this through, and we're still figuring stuff out. But doesn't it also matter whoever's checking? It depends on which entity that they're checking with, because there's FICO, there's
like Expedient or something like
that. What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
That's like a travel company.
It's Equifax and TransUnion. I believe.
Equifax, I put the two together. Expedient.
Hey, that's all right.
That's what I get for traveling so much right now.
Right. No. So there's three entities, and your score is going to vary. It shouldn't like be like a crazy difference, but it'll be like a few points difference between the three.
Except for FICO. FICO is completely different.
Yeah, if
You'll be surprised.
I'm
You'll be
not I'm
surprised.
not that deep into it yet, so I don't completely understand that. And this is for the beginners. So so you probably don't know what we're talking about either. No, but okay, so your credit score is broken down into like six main like categories. There's payment history, credit card usage, derogatory marks, hard inquiries, credit age, and your total accounts. That sound about right?
Yep. I'm opening Credit Karma just to make sure.
Yeah. But the most influential across like the three entities I know for a fact is the payment history. Um, if you have, I know that like you want to stay between like 99% and like 98% payment history. Like you don't want to miss a payment. But there's like a false narrative out there where you should max out your credit card and then all you have to do is put the minimum payment down, right? The thing is, when you do that, you're going to rack up interest, and so you're going to end up having to pay more than
A lot more.
yeah, you're going to end up having to pay more than whatever your credit limit is that you've maxed out. So this then goes to like plays into the credit card usage is what they call it. So um, like I said, there's three entities, and once a month they pull it. The days are different, so you have to check with your bank to see what day they pull. But so like they'll pull it on a specific day, right? And whatever you have on your account is a percentage of your credit limit. So say I have a $500 credit limit, right? And I have $50. I've spent $50 on my credit card, right? So that means I utilized 10% of my credit limit, right? And so that's really what the recommended utilization rate is between like 7 and 10%, or maybe even 0 to 10%. But like when you see something like that, you start to realize it's not necessarily that like when they give you a credit card, they want to see how much you can spend and how responsible you are. It almost becomes more of like a game. So
Yep.
it's like they want you have to use the rules to boost your score faster. And so like this is also a long game. All these things tie into each other. But so we got payment history, which is, pretty obvious, pay your bills on time.
Which is why you might have a credit card,
Mhm.
and if you don't use it, your credit's gonna suck.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because if you're not using it, you have no history, and in fact, they'll probably close your account if you don't use it for like what I think it's like 6 months.
Hmm.
I guess it depends on the card holder.
Yeah. But so you got your credit card usage. You want to stay between, that low 10% or lower in your utilization. And it's pretty difficult at first. Like I struggle with this because I just had a debit card most of my life. And then when I got to using my credit card, I didn't know. So I would use all of my credit limit, and then my credit score was going down, and I was like, well, what is this about? Right. So even though I had the money on my debit card, I thought that I needed to spend the money on my credit card, right? So that it would make my score go up because I'm using my credit card. That's what I thought they wanted, but that is not the truth. So what I'm telling you is try to use like 10%. We're talking about personal credit, not business credit. So those things are a little bit different. Um, so that'll boost your score up. Derogatory marks, that could be any of your bills that you haven't paid, like anybody who's calling your phone like, hey, we're calling you about this bill that you never paid.
Yeah, if you break a lease,
Yeah.
if you don't make a payment for more than 6 months,
Mhm.
stuff like that. Things that are bad, they're derogatory.
Yeah.
Right, statements on your credit.
Yeah. Then you got hard inquiries. Those things go for like when I got when I was getting pre-qualified for my mortgage to buy a house, like they're gonna hard pull on your credit, which is, I mean, it really doesn't affect your credit. I believe it only stays on for about like 10 to 12 months. But you don't want to do a bunch of them just because it just doesn't look good.
I think some of them stay on for like 2 years.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't say on,
But it's a low impact, yeah.
it's a low impact. And then we got credit age. So I don't know like how long the ideal time is, but the longer you've had credit and you've had credit accounts, the better.
I can tell you right now what it says. The ideal.
What's the
Yeah,
ideal?
much. I think it's like anywhere
I think it's
from
like 5 to 10 years.
yeah, five to
I
ten
think that,
years.
yeah, because I'm right at 5 years with mine, and I'm still like yellow. I'm in the yellow.
Well, it sucks though because it's average life of credit.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
So
if
if
you're
you have a
opening,
card, you have one card for 10 years,
hmm
right? And then you get two new cards,
yeah,
right? It's the average of those three
yeah,
cards. So really you only have an average of 3 years credit.
right. And there are
So
shortcuts to get around that. We'll talk about that later. And then the last thing is total accounts. So like you want to have, like I
a lot
think
of credit
the
lines.
ideal is like 10 to 20 like credit lines. So however you get it, I mean, like they consider crazy thing, not crazy things, but like you can open a credit card with almost anybody nowadays. But credit cards, student loans, mortgages, car notes, all of those are lines of credit. So like you're building those are accounts that you're building your credit with. Things that the credit score does not consider: your age. Like your age doesn't matter. They don't care how old you are. It does not go into factor your credit score, but the age of your credit does impact your score. And so, like I was saying earlier, there's ways to get around this. So, like I'm young, but there's this thing called trade lines, or they also call them authorized users. So your parents, if they have good credit, they can add you as this is the thing. If they have good credit, they want to do
Yeah.
this. But if they don't, then you kind of want to stay away from this because you can add somebody as an authorized user. You'll see this maybe on YouTube, or it may even be advertised on social media. Like I'm selling trade lines. Um, they're good, and they're good, but they also provide a false sense of security because so you get all of that person's credit history added onto yours, right? But say you're going in to get a loan, and the loan officer who is underwriting you, which means like just seeing your account history and kind of going under your profile to see if you're worthy of the loan that you're looking for. They can see that this history is not yours and it's just from an authorized user. So it will boost your credit score, but it might go when it comes time to get a loan. That factor is kind of like neglected because they see that that's not your credit history. You haven't actually been dealing with this money. So
Yeah,
that's just
so
something
it's
to be conscious of.
and I think something you said is really important.
Mhm.
I know all these gurus and credit gurus are telling you to get it like become an authorized user on your parents'
Yeah.
account or your aunt's account,
Mhm.
but make sure they know how to handle their money
Yeah, yeah,
because
because
it's really easy for you to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be on my dad's credit limit, right?
Mhm,
Or credit, be
mhm.
an authorized user on his account. But then if he doesn't make his payments, your credit is F,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
right?
that's the thing. So if you have good credit though, and you're trying to like think of your kids, that's that's something that you can do.
Sure.
To all my young people, 'cause, I'm 23 with a 5-month old. But they do not credit also does not consider your salary. Like it does not have anything to do with how much money you make. So you can make
Now, if you qualify for credit, sometimes it will, right? So when you're looking for a loan, if you're looking for
that's different though.
yeah,
That's not impacting your credit score. Like
okay,
how this last the age was, like when you go for a loan, that's different because then they're going to take under consideration all these different things. Debt to income, that's where your income comes in.
true, true.
Or even when you're applying for credit cards, they'll look at your income. So like Chase isn't going to give you a Sapphire card if you're like just starting out.
Yeah, so it's important to know it doesn't affect your credit
It
score,
doesn't
but it
affect.
will affect if you can get the credit line. So
Exactly, exactly. So that's I'm just trying to, kind of give people the gist of what will affect your credit score and what won't. And the location obviously that you live in does not affect the credit score. So just going real quick back over them. Payment history, very high impact. Make your payments every single month. Credit card utilization, try to stay around 10%. Derogatory marks, pay your bills. Hard inquiries. Hard inquiries. Now there is a way to get those off. You can like write letters in to whatever entity you want. I think, well, you should probably do all three to get all three of them off, to get the inquiries off of all three. But there are ways to get that off. So those hard inquiries, you should know, don't last forever, and there are ways to get them off. Credit age, which we talked about, can be, I don't know if you want to call it subsidized by trade lines, and total accounts. So want to have like 10 plus. So yeah, that's the breakdown of the credit score, and I feel like that's some game that I didn't know, and I wish somebody would have broken down to me in this way.
Yeah. Now this is something that I had to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And I guess now we can get into the nitty gritty of credit.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So growing up, in my example,
Mm-hmm.
I had no clue, right, what credit really was. I didn't understand it.
Yeah.
I didn't understand that, some things that my family could do was limited by their credit score.
Mm-hmm.
And because they have student loans, because they have mortgages, car payments, etc.,
Yeah.
that, we were limited on the amount of resources we could access because their credit score wouldn't allow it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't realize this until I went to get a student loan and my parents didn't qualify for it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Turns out they had some bad marks on the credit. Of course, the company.
You went to a private lender? Is that what you're talking
about? Yeah, I had to at that point. Yeah. So it was, and even then, there's things like when you default on a loan, right?
Mm-hmm.
That also goes on your credit history.
Yep.
And so my mom had one of those, not to air her dirty laundry, but she thought she had put it, in deferment, but something happened, something weird happened. They got it all fixed in the end. But at that point in time, I was out of money for school.
Yeah.
So that's when I really had to dig deep in understanding what happened and how I can get my own, student loan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my journey kind of went on. And I was kind of pissed about it, right? Because I'm like, what the fuck? That's so stupid. Yeah. I can't get this much money because I don't have any credit, but, I pay back all my money. But again, realizing it's more of a trustworthy rating. It didn't matter how much money I had in the bank. Mm-hmm. It really mattered on, how trustworthy are you that you're going to pay us back?
Yeah.
How did your journey start with credit?
To be honest, let me think. So like, to be honest, I've never, like, we always got, my cars were like on the like the lots on the side of the road. Like, I didn't.
Oh yeah, the shady ass lots, the ones that don't need credit, don't need
yeah. So like that was never like had come up in my head for that. Honestly, it happened when I got my first apartment in college. Like, I went off campus, so I had to apply, and that was the first time I realized like I had credit, and I didn't have a credit card still at that point, but on the application they want to check for people's credit, and we had to get like a co-signer and stuff like that, because I think I was at like 590 or something at that point.
Yeah.
Because I had student loans, but I wasn't making any payments. I think that was the only thing that was on my. Oh no. This is So the apartment was the first time. Sorry. Trying to go back through the timeline, but so that was just the first time, right? Just it never really still like clicked, like I wasn't paying attention to it, but I did know that like every month that I made my payment, the apartment was reporting to whoever that I was making my payments. So that did help my credit score a little bit. But also I had a surgery, and
medical expenses.
Yeah, long story short, we thought we didn't have to pay anything, and I ended up like a year later, like I got a call like, oh, you owe like $1,000 or whatever. And so I had those like marks on my thing for a little bit, but I ended up getting that all sorted out. And that's when I really started like pay attention to my credit score. Cause then I got another apartment when I had to get my, what was it called? Well, anyways, I got another apartment. They were reporting my credit score. And then I actually just this past year got my first credit card. So like I haven't been working on my credit until this year. And honestly, it really isn't that hard, but like I'm not that successful. Like I'm right at 700. So it's like I have good credit. I don't have great credit.
Thus far.
Yeah. And so like I'm working on building it. I just got a new credit card. So I'm trying to let me tell you my first experience with applying for a credit card. Can I do that?
Yeah.
So I got this new job, right? Or this is my job right now, but I got this job, and it was my first time like really being around people who like knew what they were doing with money. And so I could took a we have like classes within our company, and this dude was teaching like credit 101. And
That's dope.
yeah, it was really dope. It was really helpful. And so afterwards, like I broke him down like my situation, and he like just kind of laid it out for me, and he was like, all right, apply for this card. And it was the Sapphire card. And so I'd been banking with Chase. So I had like a relationship with Chase Bank, but like I was not raking in money. So whoop de doo, like it wasn't helping me at all. So I applied for the Sapphire card, didn't get it, but the reason was, so I have a debt to income, right? Like, so I had just started my job, so I really didn't have any income, but also I picked up like student loans, not nothing crazy in student loans, but I had student loans. And so it was that factor, and also the factor that I had insufficient credit history. So like the reason the Sapphire card is like so good, because you get like rewards.
Yeah.
As you go move through like the credit game, you'll see like you get different rewards with different cards, and the better the rewards, sometimes like the more difficult it is to get. And so anyways, I ended up with the Chase Freedom card. I got that, but in like 2 months now, I'm about to apply for the Sapphire card again, because I've been doing my thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's an important piece to remember.
Mhm.
Like you said, it is a game,
Mhm.
right? Like you have to play the game the right way to,
Mhm.
I guess, rack up your points, which is your credit score.
Yeah.
So for me, I didn't understand that, right?
Mhm.
I didn't get that. So I got my first credit. So my credit journey started early, right? So once I realized I couldn't get that loan, right, I had to go through the methods of getting a loan. I had to have a co-signer, which is my sister, and
Mhm.
hoping to get that off. But in the end, I ended up having to buy a car,
Yeah.
right? And then I realized when I went to go get a car, luckily I had people help me on the side, but when I went to go buy the car, my credit sucked, and they were fine with that. So you have to be very careful when you're going to try to go buy these things,
Mhm.
because there's some places that don't care really about your credit.
Mhm.
But what they'll do instead is that because you're not trustworthy, they'll raise your interest, like you said earlier,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So my first car was supposed to be with a 17.9% APR, right?
Mhm.
So after all said is done, for this $12,000 car, I forgot how much it was really. It was like $14,000 in the end,
Mhm.
right? For this $14,000
Can you
car,
can
I was
you can you tell us what APR is? Just for
yeah.
like
So
looking
it's
up
the
for sure.
I don't know the exact. It's like the annual percentage rate,
Mhm.
or
Yeah,
there's a
that's
specific
that's
word for
right.
it. But basically, every year, right,
Mhm.
whatever balance you have left on your account,
Mhm.
they're gonna apply an interest.
Yeah.
So if you owe $1,000, right, they're gonna add 170 at my rate,
Yeah.
$170.90
Mhm.
on top of that $1,000.
Yeah. So now you
So
have
now
a
you got to pay that
thousand
off.
one hundred and
Yeah,
seventeen dollars.
you have $1,107
Yeah.
to pay off,
Mhm.
right? And let's say next year, by the end of the next year, you have $900. Then guess what? They'll take that 17% of that 900,
And add it back
900
on.
and add it on again.
Yeah.
So now you think you're paying something off, but in reality, because you're not paying enough off, you still have a balance due.
Yeah.
They add more to it.
Yeah.
That's really where these places make their money off of,
Mhm.
right? So like when you go get a loan, they're not making any money off you getting the loan. They
Mhm.
make money off the interest you pay.
Yeah.
And so people that are less trustworthy, they increase that interest. So if you ever don't pay, they make that money on the front end instead of the back end.
And that's why like it's real shiesty how you see these, like you'll see a lot of loan places in low income neighborhoods or like areas.
Loan, bro, stay away from the title loans.
Yeah,
Stay
because
away from the paycheck loans,
they going
because they're predatory and their interest rates are
they'll
ridiculous.
hit you with like a 50% interest rate. Like
Yeah, you end up paying like 3,000%.
yeah.
Right, and it's crazy. So just be aware of that. And also, I see a lot of this in El Paso. We'll talk about this a little bit more later. But we have all these people getting nice ass cars, right? And I'm like, damn, like how the fuck do you get a $40,000 Lexus when in reality, with my finances, I know I can't comfortably afford that.
Yeah, that's the thing
But
that
then
I didn't realize. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I see the game, right? These people have insurance on the car anyways.
Yeah.
So when they give you this loan, if you don't pay it, they don't care. They already have that money protected.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, they're going to charge you 18%, 19% interest.
Yeah.
So they're making bank right away. And most people, what ends up happening is they really can't afford the car.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing that happened in the mortgage crisis. They really can't afford what they bought. They end up getting it taken away from them. Now their credit's messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're out thousands of dollars.
Dude,
and that company is good.
I
right?
was
They have
so
insurance.
surprised when I realized you really don't have to have like, you don't have to put down like that much cash to get a car. If you have good credit, like I don't know if you have like.
That's for anything, man. You don't have to put down anything to get a house if you have good credit.
I was like, I was taken back though. Like I can get a car and not come out of pocket today. That's crazy. But that's how much I didn't know about all of this stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So, but anyways, back to my car story.
Yeah.
Right. So then I got hit with the 17.9%.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, over the lifetime of my loan,
mm-hmm.
instead of paying the $14,000, I would end up paying like $23,000.
Mm-hmm.
So think about that. To get this $14,000 car that's worth $14,000,
mm-hmm.
I have to pay $23,000. But if I had better credit,
mm-hmm.
and luckily I had people helping me, like I said, I ended up going to get pre-approved for a different loan that had a 3% interest rate.
Oh.
So think about that.
Mm-hmm.
I went from paying that $23,000 to now in the end it was going to only be $17,000.
Mm-hmm.
But still, if I had better credit, I would have had a 2% loan.
Yeah.
So you see how much money good credit can save you.
Right. No, exactly. So like when so I actually got pre-approved twice for my mortgage when I was looking for a house this past summer. And it's like the first time, this was July. Yeah, probably around July, like around my birthday. So I think my interest at that point was like 3.2% on $400,000 or something like that. And so then it was like 2 weeks ago, I had to do it again because I actually put an offer down on a house and got 2.75. Now that has nothing to do with my credit. It has everything to do with like the state that the economy is in. Right now. Yeah. But like, imagine if I got a 2.875 right now, which is like insane for houses. Like when you're paying $400,000 for something over time, like I think it changes after like however many years, like they change the interest rate. But
unless you have a fixed, if you have a variable, they'll change it.
Oh, okay.
If you have a fixed, it should be fixed for the 30 years.
Oh, really?
15 years or whatever you have.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So you got to pay attention to what they're offering you too. Because it'll be like a 30-year fixed, which is usually safe for people that have really good credit, or a 30-year variable, which means that within 10 years, 1 year, whatever, they can change the interest. It
was fixed. But anyways, like imagine if I would have had like a great credit, like an excellent credit score. Man, I probably could have got like a 2.5. And like literally like the difference between 2.5 and 2.875, like that's a lot of money.
A huge difference
when you're talking about large sums like $400,000. Like
even when you're talking about cars, like think about it in relative to the car, right? Mm-hmm. That difference between 3.5 and 2. Or just 3.0 is huge.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, so that like when you hear real estate guys talking about like the difference in a percentage, it's a big deal because it's a lot of money over the length of time.
And then you also mentioned something that was really good too. Not only like do you have to understand that game, but then you also understand like how you're earning this credit, right? Yeah. So for example, if you have a car note, whatever, you just pay that off. You make sure you're not defaulting on that or being late on that. If you have a mortgage, same thing. But then you have like credit cards, right? That adds a little different aspect to the game. Because not only are you using the credit card, and paying it off, but now there's that concept of rewards. So this is really where it really turns into a game. Yeah. Because now we could all have a credit card, right? You and I could have the same credit line. So right now, like my credit limit's like $10,000, right? So we could have the same credit limit on the same card, but your card might give you cash back in travel miles and yada, yada, yada. Yeah. All these different things that are really beneficial to you. And I could just have a regular card that does nothing. Yeah. Right. So now there's benefits to choosing which credit card you're going to use. Right. And that's where I started understanding like why, other than being for the lavish part, why you might want like a Black card or like a MasterCard or an American Express because of the different things and how they can save you money without you even realizing. Yeah. Because imagine for every purchase you make, you get, 2 times the travel points.
Yeah,
Eventually,
like you were saying, like so for the Chase Freedom card that I had gotten, like it was like spend $500 in the first 3 months and you get $200 back.
yeah.
Yeah, so
What?
it's like so spend $500 and now you're only actually spending $300. So
Yeah, or like you get 1% cash back. So if
mhm,
you spend $500, you get $5.
yeah,
Like that's still $5.
mhm,
Yeah, and it's crazy because now you have to understand like what's going to work for you, right? So if you travel a lot, you should get a travel, a miles rewards card. Or if
no,
you spend a lot of money at the grocery store, you should get cash back. Or if you do this and that, like it's it's so crazy how something that should be very simple ends
mhm.
up being so complicated
It's
and mystical because of all this extra shit
I
that
don't
goes
think
into it.
it's as mystical, but like if you really get into like the deep, like how I told you that I had that class at my job, he's like deep into the credit game, and I feel like this is with a lot of things. If you like really get nitty gritty and like you can make a whole living off of just that one thing. And I've seen people. If y'all want to look at him 500 on Instagram, like that's what he does. He just literally lives off moving how you move your credit card money.
Oh, is that the credit churning shit?
No, you're talking about manufactured spending, like
Yeah, I there's and so I guess we'll get into this too. There's be careful with what you're doing.
yeah, no, there's like, but there's deep ways like the so. Anyways, getting back to the dude who taught the class at my work, like he does it to for travel hacking. Like he all of his credit stuff is all based on travel. Like he took a $15,000 trip to Hawaii and he only spent like $2,000. Like that's the difference. Yeah, and it was
Rewards, man.
like a week-long trip in Hawaii at like his favorite hotel. So you know what I'm saying? Like these things make a difference if you actually do get into the weeds in them. But
Yeah, man. But
yeah,
that's the thing though. You have to make sure you're actually doing your research,
yeah.
right?
Mhm,
Because like I know there's a huge like wave other than the forex.
mhm.
I hate forex by the way. Not forex in general. I just hate the people that claim they're like gurus. But um there's like the credit gurus, right?
Mhm,
The ones that are like, "Oh, we can fix your credit. You just have to follow these."
mhm.
You have to be very careful because what they end up offering you sounds good, but if you don't read the fine details, you can get yourself in a really fucked up position,
Yeah, well,
right?
I think like more so because there's like a lot like you can pay people to fix your credit, right? I just feel
Yeah,
like
professionals. There's actually people that do this,
yeah,
right?
yeah, that's
And
like actual jobs.
but don't trust the random dude on Instagram that does this and this and this and this all at the same time.
Yeah,
Because this is a specific game you have to understand.
yeah. Well, I'm not I don't know. I'm not that far into it, and I've never
Mhm.
like experienced with like working with somebody like that. But there's definitely there's so many ways to get in the game. But anyways, my question to you is like to give people who are like new to credit, like what what are the opportunities that credit can open for you?
Man, a lot. I mean, like I said, going back to not only the car incident, right?
Mhm.
But when you go to apartments,
Yeah.
there's certain places that will not let you live there unless your credit is up to par,
Mhm.
right? Because they don't care how much money you have in the bank. They'll
Yeah.
look at your statements and like, oh, okay, cool, you have $100,000,
Mhm.
right? But if you don't know how to, they want to know if you know how to spend that money to
Mhm.
make sure that they get paid.
Yeah.
So I remember not only like a year and a half ago, I was looking for a new place
Mhm.
and I ended up not getting it because they expected me to have a 720 credit score,
Right.
right? Like you had to have a 720 credit score. And it was a nice place. It was perfect, right in my price range. But
Mhm.
because I didn't understand my credit score at the time or how to really optimize it, then I just didn't get it. So I had
Mhm.
to settle for another place that was really nice in the end, but it wasn't that place. It was actually a little bit more expensive than the place I was looking for.
Okay.
Um, that when you go to get a house, right? This is
Mhm.
something that could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars, or it could keep you from getting the place that you want.
Man.
Because if you're putting up a bid against someone else,
Mhm.
and you might have the same down payment, you might have this and that, but if their credit score is just slightly better,
Mhm.
they're probably going to go with them because they're more trustworthy in them paying it off,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So it just opens a lot of
So
doors, man.
like we're talking about just the overview of like the things that credit can affect, but like when you're making these next steps in your life, like buying a car, buying a house, buying or renting an apartment, like
Getting a job.
getting a job, uh, trying to start a business, all of these things, getting a loan, like he said his parents couldn't get a loan for his school. Like, this stuff affects how you live life, and it can change your life. So just be conscious and play the game. Like, literally, I would recommend starting off, if you don't have nothing, get a credit card. You're probably gonna have a small limit, like $500 or something.
Yeah, probably like $300. Yeah. I had a $200 limit for like a year just because I was skeptical.
Like, literally, what I say, use 10% of it, $50. Whatever you spend, just spend $50. Let it go, pay it off.
Again, and this is non-professional advice.
Non-professional,
Again, we're non-professional.
Yep.
But and this is the
just
thing.
Be a smart idea to do. This is not. I'm not telling nobody to do this.
Yeah, the game is not for everybody. For example, for me, I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty of credit churning and flipping cards.
No.
It's too much, too many nuances, too many fine details. But to keep it simple, for me, what I do now, I built up a bad credit balance because of financial issues a couple years ago, right? And Evan knows about this. But now, what you should really focus on is use your credit card for like consistent purchases. Right? If you don't want to have to use your credit card, because I know people are against that, because if you have the cash, use the cash.
Yeah.
But for example, when you go pay for your gas, right? Use your credit card. One, it's safer than using your debit card, because if it gets hacked, it's easier to get your credit limit back than it is to get actual cash back, debit back. And then, or groceries, right? Or if you have an account online for Adobe, like for me, I have the Adobe cloud system, right? Like, you can put those expenses on there, so every month the almost close to the exact amount you're going to spend, and every month you just pay it off, right? And even if it's a little bit over, usually you want to stay within 10%. 30% is an accepted limit, right? Try to stay in that limit, and then once that's there, you just pay it off.
But you want to make sure you pay it after it's reported to your bank.
Yes.
So
you always want to have a certain day of the month, right? So for example, my days, I always pay my stuff off like the 7th of each month, right? Because by then all my expenses have been paid for, all my bills have come in, and then it's reported. It's not reported yet, and I pay it off, and then it's reported in like 10 days.
Right.
So be aware of that, and it doesn't have to be too complicated. It can be super simple.
Yeah.
Right? And
realize it for what it is. It's a game. Like, realize it that you're playing a game. And this is the thing, though, where I think it's like dope. If you play the game like well enough for long enough, eventually you have a giant credit limit, say $10,000 or whatever.
That's not giant, but trust me, it's not. It's not giant. It feels more like a trap sometimes.
That's giant for me. That's all I need. Look, 10% of what's 10% of 10,000? $1,000. Right. So I'm not spending. Typically, this month is different because, but typically I'm not going to spend. Yeah, no, I'm lying. Definitely 10,000 is not that high. All right, let's talk about like 100,000, right?
Maybe. All right, 100. So now you have $10,000.
Yeah.
10%.
10% is $10,000. Like, I can keep that on there, and I'm good. Like, I can just use my credit card for everything. Debit goes away.
And there's time. There's at some point you're gonna end up doing that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
for sure.
But for now, if you're just starting out, if you're starting out, still pay for most of your things in debit. Like, if you're gonna go to a restaurant, don't just say, "Oh, I'll put it on my credit card," right? Because that's how I got in the situation where I owe I only owe like 3,000 out of my 10,000, right? But that's still under the 30%, but it still bothers me because that's a balance. But anyways. Like, pay it for debit. Just really use it for like the consistent purchases that you make every month that you're gonna make every month.
Because then I also, like, from having a credit card, like I'll put stuff on my credit card, and then like I won't use it for a little while, and I'll forget that I'm carrying like a pretty big balance on there. So that's why I'm using my debit card, and my checking account says everything's fine.
But your credit card
account, my credit account is like, oh no, boy, you owe us some money.
And that's the thing. A lot of people that I've met consider credit as like extra money. It's not extra money. You have to pay it back. Right. So the only reason you should use a credit card is to keep building your credit limit or your credit score, or in extreme emergencies. Right. So for example, let's say you're working and your car breaks down. Right. You need to come $2,000 out of pocket. Of course, you might not have the cash right there. So what you can do is use your credit card and pay that off in the next few months, right? Sometimes that's what I would do, right? If I'm in a tough situation, I need a lot of cash on hand. That's what my credit limit's for.
Bro, the fact that like there's so many videos out there about credit should let somebody know like how important it is. Like I can't believe it wasn't emphasized how important credit is. Like it
Yeah.
is so important. And I hope
But it's because there's that weird like subculture of like, oh, credit's not important, right? You
there's
really want
also
to
like a
stack your
fear.
cash.
Yeah, there's also like a fear
Yeah.
of it, you know, like it's
Because it can
dangerous.
get
Yeah,
bad, right? Because
if you
I
don't
think
have
that
self-control, it's
yeah,
like you're gonna screw yourself over.
that's what I'm saying. That's why you have to be careful. That's why I recommend if you're a beginner like us,
Hmm.
right, take it slow.
Hmm.
Right? I don't even think we're beginners. I say we're more like
Intermediate.
intermediate beginners, like getting to intermediate,
Yeah,
right? Like halfway there.
yeah,
But
I'd
yeah,
agree.
because I think the average like consumer debt in the US is like $10,000, most of that being credit cards.
Dang.
Um, so you have to be careful. Don't think it's extra money.
Hmm.
Don't just start going on Amazon and putting shit on your credit card because that's how you end up with a $8,000 balance that you can't pay off.
And then you have to make minimum payments, but then you get hit with the
And then you have
interest.
more interest, right?
Yeah.
You end up becoming more broke thinking you had more money.
Hmm.
So it is. I mean, these people are trying to make money off of you.
Yeah.
Understand that, but there's a way you can play the system, play the game with them, where you're both benefiting.
People, and this is like, I wish I had the balls to do it, but like people play the credit game like risky sometimes, and sometimes it does pay off. Like if you have like a $10,000 credit limit and you need to get something like start a business, but you know that business is going to pay you back before the end of the month. Like, see now
Do it.
that's where people like start to level up. That's why like having debt is kind of like the best thing in, I don't know, credit is like the best thing, I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean,
it's
and that's when
it,
you get
that's
further
why,
into the game,
yeah, that's why we can
right?
get like, I feel like that's why that's what makes the American dream possible. Like I told you, I was watching the Undercover Billionaire. Like he leveraged debt to get to what he was
That's the word though. You
to.
have to make sure you're leveraging, right? You
Yeah,
don't just take on debt because you can
yeah,
take on debt. You want to
no,
leverage. If
lever
you're leveraging debt, that's a good debt,
yeah.
right? So I know a lot of people when they're starting their business, they'll put or take cash advances on a bunch of cards because
Mhm.
they know or they hope that their plan will work out and they can pay it off in the end,
Exactly.
right? Where it gets really dangerous though, one is if you are just using your credit line because you want to buy a bunch of shit,
Mhm.
right? And don't really have the money to pay it back.
Yeah,
Or two, you don't really understand the game and the consequences when you're leveraging this debt,
yeah,
right? So if you really think about it, there might have been other venues or options um, to take this leverage out, but because you use your credit card now, you're gonna owe 17% interest on that huge credit line. Instead, if you went for a business loan or a personal loan, that might have been 5% or 7%,
mhm,
right? So it's important that you understand what you're doing before you take these steps. Unless you just want to go gung ho and you believe in yourself, great. But understand that this could really mess up your life.
yeah,
Like it's so funny. This is unrelated. So I was talking to my girlfriend, and
mhm,
she has an acquaintance who is in a bad situation, with their significant other. And I hate
mhm.
to air their dirty laundry because I shouldn't even know this, but it's so funny. But regardless of everything that happened, right? Of
Uh-huh.
the scandals and this and that, I was more concerned with like, oh no, this dude messed up her credit. Like, like out of everything, that's what stood out to me. Like that's the
No, for
biggest
real, because
tragedy,
that's
right?
like
But it is,
it takes
it's
time to
huge.
bounce back. That's the thing.
Man, you can break up with someone and find you a new one in a week. Your credit's gonna take a few years to fix.
Yeah, man. I hope that whoever's watching this, um, I hope you got something from this if you're a beginner. Like, and if we're look, and for all you whoever is watching this, if you're like an expert, hit us up. Let's do a show on it. Like,
Please,
teach us.
I just want to, I want to learn and I want to discuss
Yes.
because there's a lot of things I want to understand that I hate
We
researching.
ain't even going. We're not even gonna question. We're just gonna ask questions to that so that we can learn better, and hopefully that'll teach even more people. So yeah, if you see this and you're like, I don't know about that. I don't know what they're saying, right?
Yeah, and
Hey,
call us out on our bullshit. We're trying to learn too,
yeah,
right? Like I said, this we are not experts. We're not professionals. I'm gonna put that disclaimer at the
yeah.
top. But we're
All
sharing our
yeah,
experiences
all of this
to show what we
information.
know so far, and what might be right might be completely wrong.
It's approximate. It does. It doesn't equal, but it's approximate. So I mean,
Sure.
take it with a grain of salt, but it is like real. Like that's what we've learned so far, and we hope that you can take it on the chin and learn from it.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, man. I have one more topic I want
Okay.
to bring up,
Yes, sir.
and it's relating to me going back home, right, and it being
Mm.
Thanksgiving,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of conversations. We had a conversation at the Thanksgiving table about how blessed we can be, right, or how blessed we are
Mm.
because of the situation we're in. And I had a conversation with my sister where she said something that was really important. I had mentioned to her, like I've mentioned several times in the podcast, of like how I thought, a certain amount of money or a certain type of house was like, oh, you made it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that was when I was in El Paso. And
Yeah.
when I moved to Houston, I was like, oh no, that's nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But she says it's all relative, right? So and I'm gonna throw out some numbers here, right?
Yeah.
So just so I'm not bragging, I'm gonna let you know my average salary is above, and I'll go low, $50,000, right? My
Yeah.
average salary between my job and my income
He
with
has
an
two
exchange.
income streams, just so everybody
Yeah,
knows. Yeah.
and I'm shooting low here. It's $50,000,
Mm-hmm. Above 50,000. Yep.
above 50,000.
Yep.
My income, right, is above 50,000, while the average El Paso income is $20,500.
It's crazy.
The average household is $42,000, right? The average U.S. income is $28,500. The average household is 53. The average world income is $9,000,
Wow.
right? And so I'm looking at this, right, and I'm looking at my income, and I feel
Is
like
this
I'm behind.
gross or net?
This is gross.
Okay.
Or it might be net. I don't know. I didn't really dig too deep into it. I
It
just
doesn't
looked at the
matter.
simple
Yeah. It
numbers.
doesn't matter.
But it doesn't matter because even after taxes and everything out,
Yeah.
I'm still above 50,000.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm looking at this and I was like, damn, when she said that, it made me feel so ungrateful. And I shut up for a while, right? Because I'm like, holy shit, I'm so ungrateful. There's people that are hungry. There's people that are homeless. There are people around the world that don't even have running water, right? And I'm so much better off. And I started to question myself, why did I start thinking this way? And I realized because it is relative, right? So we're talking about making these big numbers because we're surrounded by people that do this, right? Or especially for me, I'm surrounded by people that make 7 figures, 8 figures, right? And then I realized if you look at the average household income in Houston, it's about $50,000. So now I see why when I went there, I'm like, oh, like if I would have lived in El Paso, I would have been made it, right? I would have probably not felt like I had to do anything else. But because I'm here in Houston, I feel like, oh, I have to compete with this because everyone's making a little bit more than me, right? Quote unquote. Not really. But so one thing I want people to realize is just because your situation doesn't seem great, just start thinking about who you're around and why you might be feeling this way. And think about how blessed you are that you're comparing to these people that are up here.
Yeah.
When there's a lot of people that are much lower than you.
Yeah, I agree.
Right. And it's okay to want more. Like I still want more. I still want to do well for myself. But one thing we have to be grateful of is that we're on this journey. Right. And if you're one of those people that are down here, right, that are struggling, just know there's a way out.
Yeah.
There's a way to do this. Because guess what? My family, when they were growing up, my parents, they weren't where I'm at.
Yeah. No, for real.
Just that story there shows that this growth is possible. I remember I got really pissed off one year when I was in my political philosophy class because the professor at the time was kind of a pessimist and he was really weird. But he told us how we have this idea, the American dream, like you mentioned, that isn't really true. It's a myth because climbing the socioeconomic ladder isn't really true. But I hated that because I'm a fucking living proof that it is. Right? Like,
yeah, no,
no diss to my parents, but I'm making more money than they could have, than they made at my age. Right? I'm making more money than most people my age.
Right, and that's how it's supposed to be. That's why we live.
Exactly.
That is American, like the American dream. That's what I'm saying.
Literally,
like, we're so lucky to live here, even though there are problems. There are problems in America. Everybody knows that, but you are given an opportunity that not many people have.
Exactly. And so take that, man, and be grateful for where you're at, because if you're not grateful for where you're at the moment, you're going to lose sight of where you want to be. And I think you and I have both experienced this, where we're looking like, I don't really know what I want to do now, but because we're so focused on I need to do this, that we forget that where we came from, this is where they wanted to be.
Yeah.
And now that we're here, we should enjoy it, but at the same time, keep pushing forwards with a optimistic and grateful attitude towards it.
110% agree, bro. 110% agree. Last thing for me would be thankful. Like you said, be thankful for your situation, but also be thankful for the people you're around. I lost a friend this past week, and it's just crazy how, like, 23 years old, that, like, it's not, I've lost more friends, but, like, it's crazy to think, like, you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. And so
At all.
be thankful, keep chasing that dream.
And keep at the gradual grind.
Yes, sir.
It takes some time, and that's not only to y'all. That's a reminder to ourselves.
Yeah.
Because we be impatient sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, just be grateful. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your loved ones. Every day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy what you can. But yeah, keep your eye forward, but also know that today is a blessing.
Yeah. Hey, I hope y'all got the value out of this. We got about 11 other episodes y'all can check out where we just going through, the whole mental of what got us here and where we want to go. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button.
Leave some comments down below. Jump in the conversation. We want to converse with you.
Yeah.
We want to talk to y'all.
Yeah.
So even if you're friends, even if you're family, even if you're being nosy, I don't care.
Yeah.
Just pop something in the comments. We'll discuss. We'll have you on the show because we want more guests.
Yeah.
And yeah.
All right, man. Thanks for another dope conversation.
Sure. Enjoy your time with the family, man.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Peace.